This is Ready Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey, not a destination. And on this Ready Set Reiki journey, we refer to ourselves as guides rather than hosts, as we too are traveling, supporting each other, and learning on this Reiki and energy journey as well. And I am your guide today, Tracy Seawright. And joining me on my journey today is Xavier Roman. Now, Xavier can heal people facing any physical, emotional, or mental health concerns with in-person and distance healing. His healing abilities emerged at age 5 and heightened when his mom was in a near-death car accident. That experience allowed him to use his healing capabilities to support her healing journey. His gift of channeling energy to heal became stronger after he experienced an NDE, which is a near-death experience, during emergency surgery in July 2010. He flatlined, witnessed his surgery, and heard the surgeons and assistants as they scattered to bring him back to life. Since then, his body and mind healing techniques have continued to strengthen and emerge. He has met with and continues to help people on a national basis, people with chronic pain, undiagnosed and diagnosed health issues, mental health issues, and more. He also supports individuals who were told that they would pass away due to various medical conditions and restored them back to stable health conditions. In the past, although he never announced his healing abilities at great lengths to others, Xavier Roman has been guided to do so now. He truly feels called to connect with those needing healing more than ever. People may think you need to be a saint or a mystic figure to perform healing. However, Xavier has been presented with this gift and has received thousands of testimonials from clients on transformation that have occurred through and after healing sessions with him. He welcomes the billions of people on the planet to have hope and welcome the power of energy healing into their life. Xavier, welcome to Ready Set Reiki.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So I gave our listeners a little bit of information about you. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I live in Chicago, Illinois. I have been doing this, like you said, since 5 years old, but not like in a public forum like I do now. But, it started off at 5 years old and till now. Yeah.
Wonderful. So we're talking about energy work here. So when exactly did this energy work come into your life? So you mentioned 5 years old. So did the energy work find you, or did you find the energy work?
I think it found me. What happened is that when I was 5, I was a few blocks away from my home, and I was at one corner of the street, and right across the street, I witnessed a mom and a child crying on the corner of the street. The kid had to be a little bit, maybe a year younger than me or the same age and so forth. He was holding his mom by her hips, and she was crying, like while she was standing. And when I seen it, like any 5-year-old would be, I was a little bit bothered and like a little scared too. Like, oh my God, like the mom is crying, and that kid, and like, oh my God, like, I wish I could help them. And then I says, let me try to help them. And then I didn't think too much, but then, then again, I did think it was kind of silly. But I put my head down and my intention was to help them. But once I closed my eyes and I put my head down, I felt this flash of white light come through me and right to the people, the mom and the son. And as soon as I opened my eyes, probably about 2 seconds after I opened my eyes, they just stopped like abruptly, and they both were looking, to their left and right, and he was doing that too while he's holding on to her waist, and they just stopped. Like, what was that? And immediately I thought, like, was that me? Like, was that really me? Like, did I really do that? I says, I seen them crying and I seen them stop like right away. Like, and then I was like, no, that couldn't have been me. Like, and then, as a 5-year-old, I'm like, maybe I'm a superhero. Wait, I could be a superhero. I could be like one of the characters on the TV, the cartoons we watch. I was like, wow, and then, I didn't, I thought about it a little bit while I was walking home and so forth, but I was just glad that they weren't crying no more, so I walked home and so forth. And, I thought about it and then I was like, nah, like there was a lot of doubt. And then there was some of it where, I was playing with it mentally, like, oh, that was cool, like, oh man, like, like, is there anything else? Like, oh, come on. Oh, am I gonna fly next? That was some of the thoughts that were coming through my head at the time because I could remember it like it was yesterday. And I went home and I didn't say nothing to nobody. I didn't say nothing. Friends, family, for sure I didn't. Uh, nobody in the house. And then I just kept it to myself. But what I did do as time went on, um, especially when the next time I tried it again, we went to a doctor's office, me and my mom. We went to a doctor's office, and then, that did stay on top of my mind. I said, oh, I just looked around and said, let me see who I can help. And I'm looking around, looking for somebody who had that pain look that, or like, they're holding something, they looked uncomfortable in a pain-like manner. And I spotted someone like, oh, let me try that one. And so I did the same thing, I just went ahead and closed my eyes. And at the same time, I'm like thinking like, oh, I hope my mom isn't looking at me. She's going to say, what are you doing? This and that. So, I just pretend like I was being quiet and I put my head down. And then I looked up and then I seen the same occurrence happen with the person, the patient that was in the room. And then after I opened my eyes, I got to witness them go like this. So like, do one of those like, yeah, I don't, like, yeah, that's all right. Like, wow, do those types of things. I'm like, and then again, I would be like, wow, I he did the same thing as those other two people. Like this could be a real superpower. Like I could really be, I don't know, maybe from Superman or the Green Lantern. Somebody like, man, like wow. I mean, I'm still 5 years old. I'm still thinking like that, so forth. And then, as we went to appointments, then I would start like going to doctor's appointments, with my mom. So even if it was for her, I was like, oh, can I go? Can I go? Can I go with you? Now there was 5 of us, and I was the second youngest. And so she would always take me, and I would always go, and I would always like, okay, let me see who's real bad. Let's get this real bad. And then I would do it and keep on working. I'm like, oh wow, this is real. It would affirm to me because I still wasn't like really in belief. But as I kept on doing it, like on the snap, then it would just work. And I'd be like, like, wow, wait, what if they took medicine? Maybe they took some medicine and maybe the medicine's working. Maybe it's not me, you know? Like, but wait, just a couple of seconds ago, they were hurling, like, I don't know, like, and so forth. But as I kept on doing it, I was like, okay, this is real. This is real. This is real. And yeah, I kept on doing that and still not sharing it with nobody, not a soul.
Wonderful. What an interesting journey to begin to know that young to be able to do that. But then you kept trying. And even though you had the doubts, you kept doing it and had confirmation until you slowly gained the confidence to share this now with the world.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I kept on going. Even as I got to my teenage years, I would still do it, but I definitely wouldn't do it to anybody that knew me or would get around back to me, my family or friends that would get
Sure.
around. Like I can recall one time I was at a bus stop getting off of school and I went to transfer buses. So I had to walk a half a block to go to the next bus. And as I did that, I seen a gentleman. He was at the bus stop, and I seen him. He had a device to help him walk, and he had a limp and stuff like that. And then I said, hey, I know this is going to, picture me with the book bag. Hey, listen, I see your leg isn't too good. Look it. Let me try to help you. Their words. Who the hell are you? Like, what? I think I can help you. Look it. You just got to sit down. Stay seated, and I'm going to sit down next to you. And I says, I think it'll help if I touch your leg, but I don't even have to touch your leg. Okay, just sit down. Okay. He looked at me with a grin, like you're crazy, but whatever. Like I'm. This hurts, and so forth. And so, I sat next to him. I'm like, okay, hold on, you know. And then I opened my eyes and I was like, okay, how's that feel? He's like, he's looking, moving that leg around, like, says, it feels all right here. It feels all right here. So why don't you walk? Just walk around, just like, take a couple steps because I seen you right now. I'm me telling him like I seen you, like it even looked like it hurt for you to sit down. And he got up and he's like, and I says, can you take a couple steps? Just if you want, can you walk around? If it doesn't hurt. And then he started doing, and he looked at me like he's smiling, look at his leg, and he's trying to figure out like, okay, maybe if I move it this way, he's looking for a pain point, I could tell. And then he's like, who are you? I said, but does it feel better? He said, yeah. He said, I don't know what this is, but who are you? I said, look, I've just come from school, I got my book bag and I'm going to take this bus. He's like, who's your parents? You need to give me your phone number. You need to give me your mom's name. You need to give me your dad's name. You need to, like, no. I says, no, I can't do that. He says, come on, I just want to talk with them. And I say, look, I'm not going to do that. Like I says, I don't like, doing this for the public because I don't want to hear nobody. I said, so, I'm just glad you're okay. And that's it. And he's like, no. And I said, look, I got to go. And I left that bus stop and I went a block down to the other bus stop to take a different route home because I knew he was just going to stay on me, harp on me. If we get on the same bus, he was going to like, hey, I need to know this and that. And I was like, no. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So yeah, that was just that in particular time. But I still never told them about it.
Right. And you continue to channel that energy. And you shared in the bio that it became stronger after a near-death experience that you had in July 2010. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I did have the near-death experience. I had went to the hospital. Actually, I had a appendix removal the week before, and they said, "Hey, it's not going to be nothing, this and that. Um, you should be okay. You'll stay here probably for a day, and then you'll go home." But I ended up staying like 2 or 3 days. It was kind of weird. Like, okay, no problem. And so I went home, finished taking these antibiotics they gave me for like I think it's like 5 or 7. I'm pretty sure it was 7 days. By like the seventh day, I had finished taking them, but before I finished taking them, I was in bed shaking. I mean, like as if I was cold. And I can remember that day when that happened. It had to be like at least 101, 103 outside, like boiling. And I live like, the roof is right above me from my bedroom. And it was boiling hot. I'm like, why am I shaking? Why am I shaking? And my wife at the time, I'm telling her like, hey, listen, it's cold. Why am I cold? Why am I shaking? She's like, yeah, I don't know why. Like, why do you got on a blanket? She looked like kind of scared. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then I started getting hot, sweating. And I was like, hey, you got to call. You got to call. Why am I sweating? The air conditioner works real good in here. Like, you got to call. They're like, hey, okay, you got to bring him in. His body's trying to fight something. He's got something going on. You got to bring him in right now, right now, right now. And I'm like, okay. And so we go in and we get some tests and this and that. Like, hey, listen, you have this infection. and it's up right here. As soon as it makes it to your heart, there's nothing we can do. Like, what? Like, I thought I was gonna get some medicine and I'm out of here. Yeah, we got to do this medication. We're gonna run this through you for night and see if these antibiotics work. And we'll check on you like, I don't know, like 3, 4 in the morning. And if it works, I don't think it's gonna work, but if it does, then, but if not, we're gonna schedule this. Are you okay? I'm like, I have no choice. Okay, cool. So we did the surgery, went in, and like as the bio says, I could just remember, like, I don't know if you've ever done surgery and before they put the gas on you, like, okay, you're gonna go to sleep and one, just count to 3 or 10 backwards, something like that. And I did it and I was gone. But then once I did wake up, I was out my body and I'm looking at them perform surgery. And there was one time when I remember when they cut my stomach because I did have a gash in my stomach. I guess that was to open me up. And I can remember seeing I want to say it was like, I know it was blood and some pus, and it went all over one of the person who was cutting. But luckily, he had one of those masks on. They carried these up, the plastic ones they used for COVID, probably some years ago. So it's like, got him all over. He said a swear word. And after that, then boom, the machine went out. And then they started panicking and so forth. And then boom, I was gone after that. I mean, because I can remember at the end, I'm folding my arms, just observing. I mean, there was nothing. I didn't have any judgment. I'm just looking. But I'm looking around like in the hospital, like, what is this? But then after that thing went on and they started scattering to go ahead and do whatever they're going to do to revive. Then that's when I was gone. I went to the other side. Then once I came back, I was in the post-operation room, and I can remember waking up. I could see it right now, like if I just got out of the bed yesterday, and I'm looking straight ahead as I'm in the bed like this, and I'm just looking around like, what was that? Like, oh my God, like, oh, maybe just a dream. Maybe it was just a dream. Like, wow, like, oh my God, I couldn't believe what I saw, and that what I thought was a dream. But then the post-op nurse came. She see me like move my arms, and she came right at me. She says, Miss Roman. And I says, yeah. And I'm still on drugs. Like, yeah. And she's like, oh baby, I'm so glad you're okay. The doctors brought you back. We almost lost you, but they brought you. And boom, my eyes open up like, I mean, the monitor, the heart rate started going up and everything. And like, I know she told me I was on morphine, and all the drugs just like, they just disappeared because everything just heightened. Like I didn't know what to say. I was like, that was real. Oh my God, this and that. And she came over. She's like, whatever you do, don't touch her. She's like, are you okay? Are you okay? She's like, I'm like, yeah, like I popped right through the drugs. Everything, my whole body, it just went right past the drugs. And I didn't feel drowsy. I didn't feel sedated no more. I probably was, but not fully, because I'm sure if I was, the pain of what was going on after the surgery would have probably kicked through. But I just didn't feel that either. I didn't feel nothing. So she came around. She's like, here, listen, you're going to use this pump. I think it goes off every 15 minutes or 20 minutes by itself. If you need it earlier, pump this. You can only do it so many times and so forth. She was explaining to me. So whatever you do, don't touch your stomach. She's like, there's a bandage. It's going like this long. She's like, you have a cut. It's going to be about that long. But they left it open. I was like, what? She's like, it's open. She says, it's not sewn. So there's like a bandage. She says, because there's infection, she says something like it was going to go from the inside and then come up. It's going to close on its own. So that's how we got to do it. So there's going to be a lot of changing throughout the day and every day and this, that. And then she's like, what happened? And then I told her, and she's like, wow. She's like, I never met anyone. She says, but I know of people or a person that works here in the hospital that they've came out and they were right next to the person right after they came after the near death experience. And she's like, "Oh my God!" And she had questions and this and that. What did you see? How was it like? Blah blah blah. Do you think you seen God? Do you this that. What was like? Who did you meet? This is this. I mean, like it was like nonstop, and I was just answering her questions like right away, like what, this, that, this, that. Oh my God. She said, "Can I come up to your room later?" She said, "Can I come up to your room?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, you're a nurse, right?" She said, "No, we can't come up to the rooms, but like, I nurse down here. Like,
Mhm.
I can't come up there." I was like, "Should I, you know, can I come up?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." She was like, "Okay, just when I come up, you can let them know that like this and that." I'm looking at her like, because I thought that they could go wherever they wanted to, and I was like, yeah, you could just come up. She later came up, and it was nonstop with the questions and this and that and so forth. And yeah, that was that. I felt like I was just there like yesterday and so forth, just from reliving it. Every time I got to restart, every time I retell it, then I feel like I'm right there. Matter of fact, I get like a little sweaty, just a little bit, because like the adrenaline comes back a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. Wow, what an amazing story. And it surely is a testament to that you are meant to be here. You have more work to do in this journey.
Well, speaking of that, those words right there, the last person I spoke to was my grandmother. We were sitting down, we were on a bench. Everything was beautiful and perfect. Perfection was everywhere you could see. And she did tell me, she says, "Hey, do you want to stay?" And she was like right next to me. No, and she was actually on this side. And I'm like, I couldn't answer the question right away. I was just like,
Mhm.
I'm looking where I am. It felt like I was really home, instead of being home. I felt like I was really home. Everything felt good and perfect. Like, and I couldn't answer, not to disappoint her, not to, I didn't know what it was that I just couldn't answer. And I was like, "No, I'm going to go." I said, "I'm going to go." I said, "But I'll be back." I said, "I got some really important things to do. I got some really big things to do." I says, "And then I'll come back, yeah, then I'll come back." She's like, "Oh, I know you will, you know, like, yeah, you're all gonna come back, we all do." And then
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, I gotta go, I'm like, I'm gonna go." And then that was it. I give her a hug.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So our next question is, what is the common misperception about your work?
Um, I would say that I got over the year, if that it doesn't work, that it's a mind thing, that it's just someone wanted to feel like that. I've actually been I've been to a doctor's offices where they do pain management and so forth. And, even those people would be like, "Hey, this doesn't work," and so forth. The doctors would, even though it works and it helps those people, so then they could not use the pain meds, because if they use too much, it's going to hurt their heart and this and that. So they got to figure something else, so people won't, drive themselves crazy and so forth. Um, Even then, the doctor, I remember a doctor saying the same thing. Like, "Hey, it's just a mental thing." And I remember one time that was, I heard that over and over. I said, "Why don't you do the mental thing? If it's just mental, why can't you learn this mental thing? You could probably go a little bit deeper. You could use some psychology you learned in your curriculum in college. You could use some good wording, your white coat, everything would blend in." It says, "You do that then." I said, "It'll work if you like, you really, because I'm not saying nothing special. I'm not trying to hypnotize nobody. I would know how to do that and just that." And but that goes from there, from that range, from like a doctor probably saying that, and then from the average person, like oh man, that's all blah blah blah. It's like, hey, that's cool, man. Like, I mean, you're entitled to go ahead and feel how you feel, and it's not gonna bother me or hurt me. Like please, like it's this. You're just giving it a try. That's all you're doing, and yeah, yeah, that's the common thing that I sometimes hear. Yeah.
Right. So, what is something you wish your younger self knew about this current profession of you working with the energy?
I wish my younger self would have never did what I did up to this point to not bring it out to the public. I wish I would have told well, then again, my family, maybe not, friends, maybe not, but yeah, maybe friends, they would have probably known. Um, but I wish I would have said something way back then, and then I could have helped so many more people than then. And yeah, yeah, I wish. But that all has to do with self-esteem and so forth, and not being ridiculed. And I knew that that was going to happen. That was one of the things that was going to happen as I, began this, to the public and so forth. I was like, okay, like, do I really want to do this? Actually, for 5 years before I started last year, because it was November 22 when I started. Before then, I had been wanting to start, but what was holding me back was like, I don't want to hear it. Like, really, I don't have no time to like hear this, the mocking and this and the like. I really don't have time for it. Like, hey, if you want to help, come on. If you don't, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, like that was pretty much what that was. That's how I took it at the time. So
Sure.
I wish my younger self, myself now could tell me like, hey, just can't worry about people. Can't,
Right.
you
Right.
do
Right.
good, they're gonna say you're lucky. You do bad, they're gonna say, hey, we know it, we told you it wasn't gonna work, whatever, so forth. So you really can't uh operate, on a good wavelength if you're like letting other people stop you and so forth, because you're worried about what they're gonna think or say.
All right. Very good. So, when it's time for you to fill up your energetic cup, what qualities do you look for in an energy healer or worker? And if you don't go to any type of energy worker, what quality do you strive to be as an energy healer and worker?
Um, yeah, I don't go to anybody. Um, but what I just strive to help more people, help more people. If I could do a billion, that'd be great. But I just try to, strive to help more people. If I could fill up stadiums and help people out like that, and probably kill me then, the pharmaceutical companies and so forth. That'd be cool too. Yeah, that'd be cool too.
So, what advice would you give someone who's just entering this profession?
I would say don't worry about what other people think. Like, I mean, just think about the people that you are helping and could help. Like, that's it. That's it. Because even the people that tell the person that you're going to go ahead and help or that you helped, if they say, like, he's crazy, like, but hey, listen, I'm crazy, but at least you could say, like, nah, I shouldn't be feeling like this. Like, I shouldn't be feeling good. I was supposed to have this, like they were supposed to pass away, or like, to stop this. The doctor says they were gonna leave for sure and pass away and so forth. I said, just as long as you're okay, just tell that person, like, hey, listen, I'm good. If you want to try it, go ahead. If you don't want to, hey, no problem. It's on you. Every man for themselves.
Very good. So, what books do you recommend?
You know what? I really, I let me see. The books that I do recommend are like, who I do like, and I haven't read it in a while, but I will listen to them sometimes. Wayne Dyer. Wayne
Oh,
Dyer is real
very
cool.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Wayne Dyer
Very
is
good.
real cool. Matter of fact, Wayne Dyer, he came. I met Wayne Dyer. I went to one of his seminars one time, probably like about 2000, maybe eight. I went to one of his seminars, and we had like we were like, well, we were in front or second. I think we were like a second row or some. And then we moved once people moved out of their seats for the break, and we came back and we still had the first row seat. because only because they told you if you move, then they could take your seat. Like these are not permanent seats. They reiterated like if you move, then you're done. And so they're like, and don't leave stuff on the seat. We're gonna move it out. The usher is saying, don't leave stuff on the seat. We're gonna move it out. So like, take your purses for your break, whatever. Now that. And so after, was it at the? It could, I think it was at the end. Yeah, it was at the end. Then Wayne Dyer was like, he was signing books. People were coming up to talk to him, shake his hand, and so forth. This is in Chicago at the time, and you know I went over there by him, and then I was like, hey Wayne, how's it going, man? Hey, man, I just wanted to come come feel it. I see. He started laughing. He's like, I know what you're doing. And I says, hey Wayne, do you feel it? He's like, I felt it. He says, I feel it. And he says, and that was it. And then the person I was with, they're like, hey, what was he? What were you talking about? I says, the energy. I says, I read in one of his books, he says, even when Jesus will walk through a village or walk through a room, you could feel the energy. And then he's like, I felt this whole side the whole time I was talking. I was like, what the hell is that? He said, I thought in my mind. And I was like, and we didn't say no more words. And I was like, cool. And then I told the person, I said, well, you know how it says in the story, and one of the things he writes, his book about Jesus, and you can feel the energy. And then he brought up somebody else. Anyways, he says, this little child, from India, is able to do the same thing. And so I told him, I said, yeah, so I was trying to see if he felt that he did. And then he's talking about that part. He says, when we were sitting right there, and like, oh, okay. The kicker was the person who was with me, actually my mom was with me too. Yeah, my mom, my ex-wife at the time, and her mom. And so even at that time, I still never even had told her. I still never even told her. And so she was like freaking out, like, you don't know him, stuff like that. I was like, yeah, that's all right. But, we kind of know each other. She's like, we're joking, like, you just want to be his friend and this and that. And I don't know where that came from, but you said the books. Yeah, the books. So like all his books. So I wouldn't read them. I just like listen to. I just like listen to and stuff like that. Yeah. Very good. And Abraham Hicks. Almost every Abraham Hicks I like a lot. Yeah, Abraham Hicks I like a lot. Yeah.
Good. So, what services do you offer? Do you offer classes, trainings, online, in person?
Yeah, I do offer sessions where we could go one-on-one, just like as if we were to do it. It would just be like this. So I do that online and I do that in person. I also do like hospital visits, emergencies mostly. Yeah, those three things right there. Yeah.
Perfect. How can we get in touch with you if someone wants to book a session with you?
Oh, sure. Just go to the website. It's www.xavierroman.com, XAVIERROMAN.com. And then you could book a session right there. And then if you go all the way to the bottom, or anywhere on the website, but mostly to the bottom, you could see our social media links if you want to see any and all the videos, especially if you want to see shorts like on Instagram. There's some on Facebook as well, and YouTube as well.
All right, perfect. Well, this ends our beginning part of our journey, and together we're going to go on to the next part of our journey, which is the social media questions. So listeners submit questions, and I narrow it down to 3 just for you. So let's begin. Question number 1. Can you describe any daily spiritual practice that contributes to your success as an entrepreneur?
Actually, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. One thing I do is, and I don't do it daily like I should. If you ever heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman, I do his breathing techniques. That stuff really does work. I mean, like, I've tried it on purpose. Like, I would try to get sick on purpose. Like, I know it sounds weird. Like, I would try to catch a flu on purpose and then I would do the breathing, and I noticed that it changes your insides because you're oxygenating everything, and the illness can't stay in there. And I would purposely try to be around someone who was sick, and then do that. I'm like, man, that works so good. That works so good. And then I would think like, wait, am I confusing this with me using my stuff? But I can't heal myself, but I can do it for everybody else, but not myself. But that breathing, I mean, I do tell other people like, look, oh, yo, you got this symptom? Look, do the breathing thing. No, 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 I want to do the session. No, no, no. Just do the breathing thing, and then, go ahead and, I'll do something with you one-on-one and so forth. Just do the breathing thing. So then you're like, whenever you can't get a hold of me, you can do the breathing thing, and you'll see how cool that stuff works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. The second question, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave with your work?
You know what? I never really think about with the work leaving a legacy behind. Um, I think that's mostly the ego that wants to do that. That it really wants to do that. I don't, not in a bad way, but I don't really care, about, you know, what I've done, like as far as with the work and stuff, as, unless it's to help somebody, that's it. That's about it. Just it's to help somebody, and yeah, that's about it. But I really don't care about myself and like, so forth.
All right. So the last question is, how do you measure the impact of your work on your clients?
Oh, well, I do tell them to email me. I do. I always tell them it's kind of strange. A lot of the times they don't email me. Say, hey, let me know how you feel tomorrow. Let me know how you feel. Like if you look on the Facebook, I did a live just yesterday. I sometimes I'll do random lives, and I'll just say, hey, like going on in an hour, or like coming on an hour. Like yesterday, I didn't even announce it. I just went on and boom, someone came on. They were ready to go. Like, oh, I've been throwing up all day. I can't move my big toe and my other toe and my heel. I got bone spurs. Like, like I've been throwing up all. It's horrible. Like, okay, so we did it right away and so forth. Wait, where was I going with this question? Because I'm so stuck into yesterday. Oh, yes, yes. So I did the live session, so everybody got to see it, because it's not a recorded thing. And I said, hey, email me tomorrow. Let me know how you feel. Like, no, no, I feel good right now. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now I could move my big toe and my two toes. I couldn't bend them. She's like, oh my God, I'm bending them. Like, what is this? And so forth. Like, my stomach. Oh my God, I felt this thing in my stomach. Why are you doing that? And right where it was hurting. Like, like this is crazy. So forth. And I said, okay, can you let me know how you feel tomorrow? And I still haven't got nothing. I'm not offended, but I'm like, wow, why didn't you tell me? Like, I like to hear what's going on tomorrow. And so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I, try to do that.
Very good. So, is there anything that you would like to add, maybe as we were talking, that you might have forgot that you would like to share with our listeners?
I would say from doing this in the public over the year or so, the biggest thing, I mean, like there are, like for me, I could do this, like I could do like 15 of these a day, one-on-one with somebody. And there will still be times when I'm like, man, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, even though, somebody's like, wow, like, I'm better, like, I haven't felt like this, I've been like this the whole week. Um, and then there was one time that made me like really stop doing that. There was one time really made me stop doing that. I was parked in front of my house. I was with my mom and with my son. And right across the street, there's a grocery store. And at the grocery store, we heard like a little bit of commotion over there. Like, wow, what's going on over there? Like it doesn't sound good. Like, it sounds like a fight. But it was actually some people by a man who's in a wheelchair, and they're like moving. I'm like, hey, I was like, man, what are you doing? So I rolled down the window, and they're like, I see one guy pushing the guy in the wheelchair, like, come on, hey, sir, hey, get up, get up, get up. and he had been slumped over to where his head was in between his legs, and I seen he had an amputated leg also. And then, I heard a little crying and so forth. And then my mom's like, "Oh my God, is he okay?" And then they start yelling, "He's got no pulse. He's not breathing." They're yelling like, "Oh, 911, blah, 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 blah." You can just imagine that. But we're right across the street, directly across the street. And I'm like, "Oh man." And then my mom's like, "Go help him." I was like, "Oh man, I knew this was gonna happen." Like I knew she was gonna say that. Like, and then she's like, "Go help, please." And my mom started tearing, like, because she heard, the no pulse and no heartbeat, he's not breathing, this and that. I'm like, "Oh man, okay." I was like, I got to go out here in public and I got to have these people, react in whichever way they're going to react. And then my son's like, he stands up from Bexy. He says, "Dada, go use your superpowers." I'm like, "Oh, now I got to go." I was like, "All right." So I went ahead and went. I should have recorded it because there's a video where you probably see on the old on Facebook. It's from like close to last year, where I go across the street and the guy's there literally the day after. But anyways, on this day, I go across and he's still slumped over. They're like grabbing him now. They're like, "Come on, get up. Oh, get up, get up." And they're like, "Just leave him alone. Just leave him alone." And then I come over and then I'm like, "Hold on, hold on, hold on." I'm like, "Hey, you a nurse or doctor?" I said, "No, no, no. Just hold on, hold on." And then they start backing up and then they're like, "Hey, the fire department's coming. Ambulance is coming." They're all yelling to me like, "Okay, okay." And then I put my hand in front of his mouth and go like this. And then I, check his pulse. And then, I'm like, "Hey, sir, hey, sir." Like, okay, he's not breathing. Doesn't have no pulse. His heart's not beating. Okay. So I just stood up and I just looked up in the sky and then I put my head down and this time I felt something big come right through me and boom, right to him. And then I went back by him and then I was like, "Hey, hey, sir, sir." And he wasn't moving. About a couple of seconds later, then he was like doing a real hard struggle breathe. He was struggling to breathe, but it was better than like not breathing at all. And I'm like, "Phew." I said, "Okay." And so then I put my hand out. I went to the street, like I took a couple steps over. I seen the fire department, fire truck come out. I was like, "Hey, he's right here. He's right here." And then, like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" I was like, he's breathing now." And then that was it. I just walked across the street. I got in the car. My mom was like, "Did you help him? He died, right?" I said, "Wait, wait, wait." I said, "No, he's okay now." And she's like, "No, no, look, the paramedics are running around." I said, "Wait, well, watch, 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 watch." And she didn't believe me that I told her he was breathing. And then they grabbed him real quick and they started moving real fast. And when they came around the stretcher into the street, then he moved his arm over. I said, "See, look." I said, "Look, his arm's moving." She's like, "He's back?" I said, "I told you he's back." And after that time, I was like, "Okay, I'm giving this up. I'm giving up, with the small doubts and this and that and so forth." Yeah, that was it.
I just find it so interesting, listening to your journey that there were moments in your life, and I'm sure there's many more that, we couldn't squeeze into our time
There
together
are. Yeah.
that called you to come forward and you still weren't ready, but you continued on your journey until you were ready. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Xavier, for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate it in your way of channeling the energy and helping so many people with chronic pain and just helping people and being of service. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
It's my pleasure, and thank you as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So, our wonderful listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. And if you are interested in having your question featured on the show, reach out at www.readysetreiki.com or social media. Also, check out Feather Sister Wellness that offers a variety of yoga classes, yoga trainings, Reiki, and Reiki trainings. I'm Tracy C. Wright, and this has been Ready Set Reiki.